If you are pregnant or you've recently had a baby, this podcast is for you. I am your host, Kath Bequee, a physiotherapist working in women's health and mum of three. Inside my online program, Fitness Mama, I just love helping support women to care for their bodies during pregnancy, prepare their bodies for birth, and support their after-birth recovery, helping them feel confident and strong inside out during this important stage of their lives. In this podcast, join me each week as we dive into all things pregnancy care, childbirth, and postnatal recovery, helping you through every step of the journey. It is absolutely possible to feel amazing and confident in our bodies during this motherhood journey, and I want that for you. Come and say hi to me on Instagram at FitnessMama, and let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to another episode of the Fitness Mama podcast. I'm super excited to share this podcast episode with you today. It's another birth story. And in this chat, I have a beautiful chat with Esther, who's a first-time mum, relocated from Darwin in the third trimester, and she has a surprise home birth. This whole podcast today, when I was recording it, I was filled with warmth. It's a beautiful, positive first birth experience where Esther shares what happened, which despite it being an unexpected surprise, having a home birth, she just describes, I felt all gooey and warm after this interview today with Esther. So she has got some beautiful wisdom to share with anyone who's pregnant. It's a perfect example of a positive birth story. So if that's what you're after, this is perfect for you. Before I do dive into this lovely episode with Esther, I would love to invite you to download a free checklist that will help you to prepare your pelvic floor for birth. So it's a free checklist that's available where, as a women's health physio, I think this checklist encompasses all the important things that we need to pay attention to in the preparation for birth in terms of helping our body prepare for birth. And as Esther describes in this podcast interview, there were two important things she did in the lead up to her birth. One of them was the mental side of things, and she did hypnobirthing, but the second thing was preparing her body. And I think those two elements combined, the physical plus the mental, the mindset side of things, it really can help to create a beautiful combination for a positive birth experience. So download this free checklist at fitnessmama.com/checklist. And the link is also in the show notes. That's it. Let's dive into this beautiful story with Esther. Esther, thank you so much for joining me today on the Fitness Mama podcast to share your amazing story in terms of becoming pregnant, your birth, your recovery. It's an absolute honour to chat today, so thank you.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Kath. It's an honour to be here.
Yes, and I don't know much about your story, which is the way I really like it, because I don't want these stories to be about one particular type, or they only have to be dramatic, or, I want all types of stories. But I know you do have an interesting story to share on that note. Talk us through it. How was your journey, first of all, to becoming pregnant?
Yeah, so my husband and I were living up in the Northern Territory at the time in Darwin, and we'd been married in the August of 21, and we found out we were pregnant in the February of the following year. And it came as a bit of a surprise, but 3 of my siblings were pregnant at the time. So I think that there was an underlying cluckiness going on. So while it was a bit of a surprise, I think it was a really welcome one. And the journey since then of being able to do pregnancy along with my siblings and now having babies has just been such a joy. So I think the timing of it all has ended up working out really well in the end.
Oh, that's beautiful. And do you live close to your siblings?
Yeah, so we moved down in my third trimester. We drove down from Darwin down to Victoria, down the centre.
Wow.
Lots of roadside stops to get out and walk. And yeah, so now I'm just down the road from two of my sisters. So yeah, there's been lots of changes, but it's been a beautiful time, and I was really privileged to not have much morning sickness or complications during my pregnancy. It was a really beautiful process and loved it a lot.
Oh, that's great to hear. No aches and pains, no morning sickness.
No morning sickness. I think during maybe my second trimester, I got a little bit of girdle pelvic pain. And at the time, I hadn't found you and I didn't know what it was. And I was like, oh, what is this? But yeah, it ended up disappearing, and we were able to get out and go camping a lot and kind of just enjoy that beautiful second trimester.
Yeah,
The
gorgeous.
last time, while it was just two of us as a family. So yeah.
Oh, that's so lovely. You've got a beautiful smile on your face, and it seems like obviously you've got fond memories of being pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah, that's lovely. So you got into your third trimester. Was it then that you started to think, okay, what am I going to do about preparing for birth? Was that the sort of...
Yeah, I think usually third trimester is where you get into the nesting mode and start setting up and thinking about birth. Whereas I was having to pack up my home to move across the country. And so we didn't get set up in our home, I think, until I was maybe 35 weeks pregnant or something. And so I was like, okay, now I really need to get in the headspace of getting ready for birth. And I think I had started a bit before then, but I think at a deeper way, I was delving in. And so, yeah, during that time, I was right at the beginning of my third trimester when I found the Fit Nest Mama community. And I think I joined one of your free workshops, and I jumped on that and I was like, this is great. What an awesome program. And so I started doing, the Fit Nest Mama course and doing the workouts and doing the pregnancy resources and utilizing those, which I found fantastic. And I also started doing prep for breastfeeding and doing hypnobirthing course as well. So quite a few of my close friends have had traumatic first births. And so I was like, okay, I just need to go into this and remove any fear that might be pre-existing and replace it with faith that this can actually be a beautiful, wholesome experience, and it can be a positive first birth. And so, yeah, I really found it helpful doing the hypnobirthing, as it just removed any fear that might have existed and just drilled into me like, I've been made to do this. I've been built to do this. This is a natural, beautiful thing.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you seem like I'd like to take a step back and find out where were you at? Was it stressful packing up Darwin and coming to Victoria in that later stage of pregnancy? Or do you feel you're more at that, like you seem like quite a positive personality, so you're looking on birth and everything with quite a positive outlook. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I think it was just like, oh, well, you just got to take it as it comes. This is how it's rolling out and this is great. So I think, setting up, packing up and moving, it was all, just kind of have to learn to take it in your stride and just enjoy the process of it all.
Oh, that's great to hear. Yeah. Okay. So you found the hypnobirthing really helpful. You did some prenatal breastfeeding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I found the Christian hypnobirthing course, which was fantastic. It was a course called From Fear to Faith. And it was just a really wholesome course, just removing, like I said, any fear and replacing it with just the truth about you and just educating you about birth and what it can be like from a positive perspective.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I also did the Thompson method breastfeeding course, which was fantastic.
Okay, good to know. Great to know. Okay, so you've got Fitness Mama, you've got hypnobirthing, you've done the breastfeeding. Did you do the any hospital-based classes?
I didn't. I think because I transitioned hospitals at such a late stage, I kind of missed some of those opportunities, and I felt like the hypnobirthing course that I was doing was so comprehensive and wholesome that I was like, I feel really prepared through this. And so I think I had looked at doing a home birth. However, we thought, maybe we'll do that second time round. And so we'll do a hospital birth first time round. So we, transitioned into that hospital quite last minute.
Okay, and tell us about that. So you were thinking initially might do home birthing, then you just changed your mind and thought, no, we'll go to the hospital. Talk us through then from that moment. Like, I know things took a bit of a turn, so talk us through what happened.
Yeah, so I think the hypnobirthing course that I did, it was very positive in their birth stories around home birthing. And so I think the idea of it wasn't scary at all. And my husband and I had said, this is something that we really want to do. But I think because we moved at such a late stage, it was too late to try and organise that. And in the Northern Territory, it's actually free to do home birthing. Whereas down in Victoria, you can pay up to $7,000 to have a home birth. And I think there's a bit of wait lists as well. So we said, okay, maybe next time. And so we were thinking that it wasn't a scary idea though. And so when I did go into labour and things progressed quite quickly, I think I've shared with you, we ended up having a surprise home birth and didn't make it to the hospital in time because everything just happened so quickly. And it wasn't a scary idea. Okay.
Backtrack.
Okay.
Because I want to hear about this.
Okay.
Okay, so when did you talk us through when you first realised you were in labour? What happened?
Okay, so I went into labour. Actually, I went to bed that night and I felt some nigglies, but I know these things can last for a few days. I was 2 days post due date and I'd gone for some long walks that day and done some stairs and some side curbs and different things. The birthing ball. And so I was hoping to get things moving just naturally. And so I went to bed, felt some nigglies, and at around 1:30, I felt like a water balloon popped inside. And I thought, my waters. So I ran to the loo and my waters broke in the toilet. And so I thought, okay, all right, this like things are moving. I'm just going to go jump back in bed because you never know how long these things are going to take. And so I just went back to bed and I thought, oh no, this is starting to ramp up a bit. I'll just come out to the lounge room. I put some nice dimmed lighting on. I thought I'll let my husband sleep because we don't know how long this will go. And just got the birthing ball and put on the hypnobirthing tracks. That were just full of like visualization exercises and breathing exercises and positive affirmations and things like that. And I had like positive affirmation stickers that I'd kind of created stuck up around the house and, a really nice vibe. And then I thought, oh yeah.
Keep going. Yeah, it's okay.
And then I thought, okay, this is starting to ramp up. So I got my husband out and I think around 3 a.m. he was like, okay, I'm just going to call the midwife and just let her know where we're up to. And I didn't realize at this stage my husband was timing. The contractions were around 2 minutes apart for 1 minute long. So I think I'd pretty quickly gone into transition. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I can hop into the bath and just do some water immersion or into the shower. And I hopped into the shower and I thought, you know what? I really wanted this, but it just doesn't feel right now. So I popped on the TENS machine, which was great. And my husband got off the phone to the midwife. He was like, okay, we need to go. I'm going to go pack the car. By the time he got back, I said, I don't think we got to go. The head's coming down. And so he was like, okay, I'll just check. And sure enough, the head was coming down. I could feel it, like the head was out and not fully, but just crowning. And so he was like, yep, the head's coming down. That's all right. We're just going to call the ambulance and just, I think it's too late for us to go. And so he was really calmed and relaxed, which I think really helped. And so, yeah. And so I was like,
and were you
okay.
feeling calm and relaxed at this point? This episode is brought to you by Baby Bee, Australian-owned and designed prams combining quality, safety and style. Not only does Baby Bee let you try their prams at home with free returns for 9 months, yes, that's 9 months, they also offer an industry-leading 3-year warranty for total peace of mind. With thousands of 5-star reviews, around-the-clock customer care, and up to $300 of free accessories with every pram, what are you waiting for? Go visit www.babybeeonline.com and check them out for yourself. And yes, for listeners of the podcast, there is a 20% discount code. Enter FITBEE, FITBEE 20 at checkout, and T's and C's apply.
I think a lot of the prep that I'd done, I had been really convinced that I wanted to attempt a medication-free childbirth. And so I think when I got to a certain stage just before I crowned, I thought, oh my goodness, I so badly want to do this medication-free, but I don't think I can do this. This is so intense. And then I think as soon as I realized where I was up to, that, the head's coming down, I'm this far progressed, I can do this. Whereas I think if I thought, if this is going to go on for 10 hours or more at this pace, I'm not going to be sustained, like I can't do this. But yeah, I felt relaxed as soon as I knew how far I was. And I was like, okay, I just need to tune in to my body. And I was just focusing on breathing and had transitioned to the bathroom at this stage on my hands and knees, just gently rocking. And yeah, my husband just encouraging me just with touch. And we had the birthing tracks in the background and I was just closing my eyes. And it was actually really beautiful. I wouldn't use the words painful to describe the experience, but rather just intense. And I had the TENS machine on as well, which I mentioned, which really helped. And then the ambulance rocked up about 30 seconds. Actually, I'll just track it back a few seconds. The lady on the phone from the ambulance, she was like telling me, just lie on your back. And it just did not feel natural to do that. And so I was like, can you please just be quiet? Just because I was literally crowning as she was trying to instruct me and like ask me how I'm going. I'm like, just let me just tune into what my body's telling me to do. I just need peace and not instructions because my body knows what to do. And so that happened and the ambulance arrived and they said, we're here, what can we do? And I said, I want my husband to catch the baby. And so they stood in the hallway and watched, and about 30 seconds later, my little baby popped out and my husband caught her.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and just put her on my chest and we just had some skin-to-skin time and we didn't know whether we were having a girl or boy. So the paramedic was saying, girl or boy? And pulled out, oh my goodness, a little girl. And so, yeah, just held her close and then I just transitioned to the couch and I just like placed her on my chest and she was able to kind of nuzzle and crawl her way to the nipple and start feeding. And I just said to the ambulance, I'd really love to have a golden hour just connecting with the baby. just having to skin. And so they just filled out paperwork and allowed me just to lie on the couch and connect with her and just hold her and have some delayed cord clamping as well. And then they said, okay, we don't really feel confident delivering the placenta, so we're going to just pop you in the ambulance and we'll just go to the hospital just to finish that last stage of birthing and just get you and the baby checked over there. So, yeah, then we went to the hospital and just got checked over and we went home a few hours later.
Wow. Esther, I like such an incredible story. And it's like, I just want to, because you've said a few things there, and I just want to see if I can, like, how did you stay, like, I know it's partly probably personality, but do you have, like, how did you stay so calm and relaxed throughout the whole thing? Like, I know if that was me, I would have been freaking out. Like what's, for women that are listening today that are like, you had just described such an amazing experience. Like how can you impart any of that wisdom onto us? Like how do we get a little bit of your calmness?
Oh, I just think one was being at home, you just feel so relaxed because it's your space where you've been able to cultivate peace and calmness in the months leading up to birth. And so I think having, dimmed lighting and just these tracks that these hypnobirthing tracks that I'd been listening to for weeks beforehand. So they just were associated in my brain with just peacefulness and calm. And I think something that I learned really helpful during the hypnobirthing course was fear creates tension in your body. And when you have fear, your body either goes into flight or fight. And when it's in that stage, the blood rushes to the extremities instead of being able to be focused down in the uterus, and so that your body can work most efficiently and effectively. And when you're fearful, though, and the blood's not focused in that area, it creates more tension. No, fear creates tension. Let me take it back.
Yep. Fear creates tension.
Yeah, and tension creates fear, and it's like this cycle.
It's a cycle. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so, fear creates tension. Tension creates pain. Pain creates fear, which creates tension, which creates pain. And it's like this cycle. And so I think for me, just focusing on a positive mindset, I think was one of the biggest keys, was not allowing fear to take over and just focusing on my breathing and my visualization and just listening to the truths that was being spoken over me, listening to the tracks and to music.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
And everything you're saying, so for whoever's listening, if you want to investigate this more, just a few podcast episodes ago, because I don't know when this is going to be released, episode number 135 is with a hypnobirthing educator, and we talk all about, she gives 5 tips to helping create a calm environment and a calm birth space. And everything you're mentioning is exactly what she mentions in that podcast episode. So check out episode 135 if you're listening to this and you want to get a little bit more of what Esther had in terms of that inner peace and staying calm and relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. So you've given birth, you went into hospital, you're back home again. How has the transition to motherhood been for you?
It's been a beautiful, beautiful process. I think just having just this gorgeous bundle that is just a gift to your life. And I think just recognizing that it's just a new season of life and not trying to hold on to the lifestyle that I had pre-baby, and just recognizing, you know what, this is a new season, having a baby, and life looks different, and that's actually okay. And I'm going to embrace this because one day this season will be past. And I just get to enjoy every day as it comes and all the challenges. And I think one of the best parts of having, like in early stages of having the baby, was just recognizing for your partner or your husband, just recognizing, hey, we're in this together. We don't know what we're doing, but we get to figure it out together.
Yeah.
So I think that's been a really fun process.
Yeah, lovely. And physically, I have to ask, as the physio, how's your physical recovery been?
Yeah, good. I found one of your pregnancy resources and your postnatal really helpful in just encouraging in laying flat and just taking it really, really easy in the weeks post birth. And so I think we did that and just not being afraid to ask for help. I think that was something I had to learn. Like, instead of just like, no, I'm fine, I'll get up and get my drink bottle, just like, no, I actually just need to lay flat and just be loved on right now and ask for people to help. So yeah, I felt really good. I think it took a few weeks and it was a process, but I think, now 5 months postpartum, I'm feeling really back to myself and healthy and well. Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing to hear. And in terms of, you've talked about like how you're feeling physically, and I have to ask as well, pelvic floor wise, how has that all been since the birth of your bubs?
I love your podcasts on pelvic floor exercises. They are so good. I just find, like, even in the car or going for walks in the pram or just, as I'm like feeding the baby, just anytime, I found those really helpful. And I think it is a bit of a shock post-birth, just realizing how weakened the floor is and just what a process it is rebuilding that back. But yeah, I really found being a part of the fitness mama community and having those resources were really helpful to me. Yeah.
Oh, you've done such an amazing job at, like, I do remember you coming along to those classes during pregnancy, came along to, and then postpartum, just even having that awareness to look after your body and to help it rehab, like the postpartum rehab is just so important. So you've done such an amazing job. So well done, Esther.
Oh, thank you.
This has just been such a beautiful conversation about a beautiful experience. And I think to finish off with, are there any, like, I sort of asked this at the start, but for any mums listening today who are pregnant that are just thinking, oh, I want some of your mindset. Oh, I want some of that positive, that positive vibe that you've got just emanating off yourself. Like, what tips do you have for women who are listening today?
I think one helpful thing would be, do not let anyone tell you their negative birth stories while you're pregnant. I think filling yourself with encouraging stories and with truth and with positive affirmations, because I think birth is such a mental thing, more like not just a physical experience. It's a mental, an emotional and spiritual experience. And I think just, becoming just in tune with yourself and recognizing that you have been created to do this. And, women's bodies are powerful. And I just think just filling your mind with truth in the lead up to birth would be my number one encouragement, as well as the physical, as, of course, doing those exercises and prenatal massage or different things like that really support the physical processes of labor and birth. Just as much important to focus on your mental preparation.
And that's exactly what you did, is you helped to arm yourself with knowledge in both the physical side and the mental side with the hypnobirthing and fitness mama. So well done, Esther. So beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your lovely story.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was beautiful to listen to. Like you had a beautiful smile on your face the whole time, and I feel all warm and gooey inside.
Oh, that's so nice. I just feel like coming away from, like, I just want mums to know that you can have a positive first birth experience, and you don't have to have the traumatic first time and then redemptive second or third birth, but that, it is possible. And I found it really hard finding positive first birth stories, but they are out there. And I think as well, just being flexible that, things might not go the way that you hope, but just keeping your mindset positive that at the end of the day, I'm meeting my baby. And that's the most important thing, is just that connection with your new little person and being able to look positively back on that.
Lovely. Perfect note to leave it on. Thank you so much, Esther, for joining me today. I really appreciate our chat.
Thanks, Kath. Thanks so much.
That's it, ladies. Before I sign off, remember my team and I will be putting together the show notes for this episode with all the links at fitnessmama.com/podcast. And don't forget, if you want to download the free pelvic health checklist to help you prepare your pelvic floor for birth and recovery, then head to fitnessmama.com/checklist, and the link is in show notes. Have a fabulous day, everyone. And I look forward to you joining me next week for another episode of the Fitness Mama podcast. Thanks for listening to the Fitness Mama podcast, brought to you by the Fitness Mama freebies found at www.fitnessmama.com/free. So please take a few seconds to leave a review, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and be sure to take a screenshot of this podcast, upload it to your social media, and tag me at FitnessMama so I can give you a shout out too. Until next time, remember, an active pregnancy, confident childbirth, and strong postnatal recovery is something that you deserve. Remember our disclaimer: materials and contents in this podcast are intended as general information only and shouldn't substitute any medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. I'll see you soon.